Dylan, would you like to go ahead and share your testimony?
Absolutely. Thank you. So my name is Dylan. I'm 31 years old. I served in the Marine Corps. And through my service, I ended up getting quite a few injuries, whether it's back pain or hip pain or neck pain, anxiety. I mean, if I went over the whole list, I'd have you guys here for probably 10, 15 minutes. Um, so where my journey began with this WAVwatch was back in November. I started having heart issues, and I was in and out of the hospital probably I'd say about 6 or 7 times. The doctors could not find anything wrong with me. They kept telling me I was fine, I was fine. But I mean, I'm old enough to know, and I know my body. I know when something's going on. I knew something was wrong. So by the grace of God, I got in contact with Linda, and she put me onto this WAVwatch. And through working things out and process of elimination, it came to be that Lyme disease is what was bothering me. And Linda said, "Well, I have this watch, and I think it'll be able to help you." And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was skeptical in the beginning because I was like, "How is frequency going to help me with a disease as serious as Lyme?" So I used it for a month. I ended up getting rid of the Lyme disease. And when I got rid of it, I started using it for other things. I started using it for GERD. I started using it for back pain. And then my family started hopping on board, and I started telling more and more people about it, and other veterans that I knew had other problems. And when I was in and out of the hospital, I was in such a bad spot that I actually had to stop working. And this WAVwatch gave me the ability to make money and get back to normal life. So this product is completely revolutionary, like for me. So I think that getting it out there is a great thing, and I think that anybody that wants to utilize it can utilize it and be better for it. So that's what I wanted to say about it.
Thank you. And I
Yeah.
guess maybe I missed what service that you're in, and when were you in the service? How long ago has it been?
Yeah, so I was in the United States Marine Corps, and I got in 2012, and I got out in 2016. So it
16.
feels like a lifetime ago, but
Wow. Okay. Amazing part of your life. And hopefully it's going to be a part of your life, but not control your life. Is that a good way to say that?
for sure, for sure. And I would say that because of some of the injuries that I sustained, it kind of did become my life. You know what I mean? And this watch has given me the ability to really manage it. I mean, seriously manage it to where I can get back to normal life, which is the quality of life is everything. You know what I mean? Especially when you've given your body to something. So it's phenomenal.
And that's a way to say that you've given your body and the aches and pains and the mental stress and everything that our veterans go through is a continual cycle unless you can find some combination that works for you. So I'm really glad that the WAVwatch seems to be working for you. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. You
Any
know,
questions? Oh, go
and
ahead.
having like severe anxiety from all this and sitting down and all of a sudden you have a beehive in your head and you're not sure why, right? And you're actually be able to take something that's and use something that's not a pill is incredible. It really is.
And Dylan, did you have trouble getting into the VA for services? Was that a long wait, or how many doctors did you end up going to trying to get some relief for your problem?
So that's actually a pretty incredible story in itself. So I'll try to give you the short version. I had tried to reach out to the VA about this, and they just really weren't responsive. And they were going back to what the doctors in the ER rooms were saying, that nothing was wrong with me. And I eventually kept going until they put me on a medication called metoprolol that was supposed to help with my heart. And what ended up happening was I had an adverse reaction to it. Um, I was I was laid up for probably 8 to 10 days to where I could barely walk. I was having trouble seeing. Um, every side effect you could think of, I had it. And I was literally laying there, and it took them like 16 days to be able to get me a referral to actually for a cardiologist itself. So I was laying there at the age of 29 thinking, or excuse me, 30, thinking like, okay, this is it. You know what I mean? Like this is how I'm gonna die, you know, because nobody would help me. And so I was taking the metoprolol, and my doctor, since I was having such a bad reaction, she said, okay, I want you to take a quarter of the pill. Okay. So the pill was already perforated. So you can't cut a perforated pill in half because it's extended release. So me not being a pharmacist or a doctor, I didn't know that. So I continued to do that. And what I was doing was I was spiking myself with metoprolol, which is a beta blocker. So instead of having this medicine last for 24 hours, it would last for probably about 12 to 13. And my heart was starting to rebound from this medication. So I went into the ER and I told them what was going on. They were like, stop taking it immediately. They gave me an EKG and found out that because I was misusing this medication, it gave me an arrhythmia. So and I was obviously very upset by that, that doctor didn't know that. Um, so what I did was I ended up getting in contact with the patient care advocacy, and I ended up moving doctors. And this new doctor I got, she is a godsend, and she is all on board with the WAVwatch, which is pretty cool. And I think that might be a door to be able to help other veterans in the VA with this stuff. But since then, I'm everything's good, but it was a lengthy, hard road with the VA when it came to these issues because they kept saying nothing was wrong. And in fact, they were like, hey, we want you to go to a walk-in clinic for psychiatric help. And I'm like, that's not what this is. I know my body, something's going on. And luckily we got to find out that it was Lyme disease that was bothering me. And because of how Lyme disease works, where it stores in your spine, where it was storing in my spine was affecting my heart. So I don't know if it was Lyme carditis or not, but I do know where it was being stored in my heart or in my spine was affecting my heart. So,
Wow.
and being able to get rid of that, I've been fine. I've been able to get back to work. I'm back to working out. I'm just back to normal life. So,
Oh, wow. I think you've, given us a lot of information there about what every veteran goes through and actually anybody that's sick. We do have a tendency in our country to go from one doctor to the next and they refer us to another one. And then, one pill is tried and then another one. And I guess I'm not trying to say that the WAVwatch is a be all end all. I'm just trying to say it can be useful for helping between those situations. It's not FDA approved. It's acoustical frequencies. So that does make it where you wouldn't have to worry that you are going to have a reaction to something that they have given you. It could be used with other medications. And, like I have said many times before, probably the biggest question I have is, can I use the WAVwatch if I have a pacemaker? And that makes it so simple to answer. These are acoustical frequencies. So if you have been told that you can't talk to somebody or you can't listen to music because you have XYZ or you have XYZ medication or, whatever your situation is, that just kind of negates. That means that gives us kind of a green light that acoustical frequencies are going to be safe with whatever choices you have made for other treatments in your process. And it's can be a lengthy
right.
process for a lot of people. So anything else or any questions for Dylan?
Well, I don't see any specific questions in the chat or the Q&A yet for Dylan, but sorry, excuse me. But Dylan, I remember hearing your story a few weeks ago and just the challenge of with any chronic condition like Lyme disease or a heart arrhythmia where there was, and for you, I don't know if you said this, but that the heart issue you're feeling was causing anxiety, and then that was, feeding, but actually at the root of that all was Lyme. And, just the challenge to understand all that. Um, uh, it's amazing that you were able to get help for that and then find relief from the WAVwatch. I know so many people struggle with Lyme disease for 20 years. It's such a
Right.
difficult. So, but one thing I would love to hear is, what was it like did the Lyme symptoms go away gradually? What were you feeling? And, I know you mentioned previous that you didn't work before this because things were so bad. Like, what was
Mhm.
kind of your process of what were you feeling when you had Lyme disease and the heart arrhythmia, and how long did that take to get better?
So it took me about a month to completely get rid of Lyme disease, and I've noticed that with the watch that there are some things that I can run that I'll feel better in 30 seconds, like back pain or whatever. And then there's other things that just it takes time, like you have to use it
Right.
continually. Almost like I know there are some medications out there that you have to take for weeks on end before you get any type of relief. So the symptoms I was feeling was I felt really sick. And then what my heart would be doing was my heart would be beating and then it would just stop. It would stop beating and I would have to like pat my chest or I'd have to like take a really deep breath and then my heart would start beating again. And it's when it started beating again, it would like be at a really, really fast pace to where it would like take my breath away. And that was happening, I'd probably say quite a few times a day. And I started using the watch and I noticed that it was more and more infrequent that it was happening up until the point where I found out I didn't have Lyme anymore, and that's when they were becoming more and more infrequent until it just wasn't there anymore. And if I remember right, it was like probably I'd say a week and a half that they weren't there anymore until finally I went back and they're like, okay, you Lyme's gone. So that's the process that I went through, and I'm so incredibly thankful that I only had to deal with it for a short amount of time because, like you said, there's people out there that have dealt with it for a lot longer. I know Linda had a testimony from a woman that dealt with it for 10 years. And I'll tell you, if I would have had to deal with this for 10 years, I would have lost my mind. And the fact that Linda was able to help me with it so quickly and I didn't have to take antibiotics, intravenous or oral is just, it was a godsend, seriously.
Yeah, that's amazing because I know that's usually a big protocol for Lyme. And you were just talking about, the frequencies and running that, and we did have a question on that maybe you could answer. June Franklin had asked, how long did you run the Lyme disease frequency daily?
So there is a set of frequencies that are in your line, and how I did it was I did every single frequency once a day. It wasn't even something that I had to run 24/7. Now, I will tell you, because of how many issues I was having, if that thing was not being charged, I was using it. But it was once a day up until I got rid of the Lyme disease. Now, I didn't want to become dependent on the watch, just like you don't want to become dependent on medication or anything else, right? So I was able to use it nonstop until I got to a point in my health and in my life to where I was able to use it for maintenance. And now I can use it as a maintenance tool and not something that kind of keeps me going, if that makes any sense.
So at first you were running sort of like the Lyme folder kind of nonstop throughout the day.
So I would run a bunch of frequencies throughout the day, and then Lyme would get hit, like the full Lyme folder would get hit once a day.
Okay.
So if I remember right, I think 21 frequencies in there or
Mhm.
somewhere around there. So I
Yeah.
would run 1 through 21 at least one time. And there were some other days where I was like, maybe I'll try to get ahead on it, and I would run it twice or whatever. But just staying diligent with it really is what got rid of it for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And somebody else in the Q&A just asked something about tinnitus, and this maybe is a support question we could answer later. I can on chat, but just a question. Do either of you suffer from tinnitus? I know that is sometimes something military veterans experience.
Yeah, 100%. So that ringing that you hear in the WAVwatch, if you turn it up to like 12 and you hear that really loud ringing, that's like what's in my head all the time. So
Wow.
I have that and I have a little bit of hearing loss. So yeah.
And were there specific frequencies that you played for tinnitus that helped you with that as well?
Um, Not specifically tinnitus. Plenty of other frequencies that have helped. I haven't had
Mhm.
tinnitus work for me.
Okay.
I do know other
Yeah.
people that it has worked for, and that's also something I've noticed is like some things will work really really well for me,
Hmm.
right? And then some other things will be something like I was saying with the Lyme, where you have to like build up to it to really get it to help.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think that's something we can say honestly. Some things work really well. Some things work for different people. Every body's different. Every person is different. And so, Yeah, I will respond to this question then with some frequencies. But you got several also. Kevin Hoyt, he just said he wanted to say he doesn't have a question. He'd love to comment that you had such an incredible story that he'd love to hear. So thanks for your comment, Kevin.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm happy to share it.
Dylan,
You guys have been amazing. Seriously.
thank you so much for your testimony today.